Okay, continuing on with our Joe Malone brochure, we have put a text wrap on the image frame of the image of Joe Malone herself. And we still have overset. As you can see, I've got the overset box over here where it wouldn't print. So somehow we're going to have to fix this. And at this point, because I need this amount of space up here, I believe, for the headline, well, maybe we can give it a little bit less. This is the juggling you're going to have to do as designers, is if I pull it up just one line, which of course is two lines, two lines of each column, that's looking a little bit better. Maybe I would now go and see if I can change the type size, and that'll change it. So right now my type is at 11 points type and 12 points leading. If I changed it to 10-point type, it actually brings it in significantly. There's something I'm noticing now. Notice these gaps. I'm noticing that actually there must have been paragraphs in this text when I first got it, and now it doesn't look like we have any paragraph indents, and I can't really tell. If you think that's happening, because sometimes what happens is it comes from the internet and it gets kind of messed up, I can click back and notice that on my Microsoft Word, indeed, there are 3 paragraphs in one big giant one, and then where Joe Malone is the beginning of one, and in 2011, where it actually has been capped. So I'm going to go back to my InDesign, and this looks like this was the other paragraph. Now, another way to show what's called the invisibles, or the hidden characters, in InDesign in the text is this kind of fun thing. You go to type, scroll all the way down to show hidden characters, and in it, it will show where the paragraph breaks are. And so a little dot, I'm going to zoom in really far, a little dot means there's an extra space. So dots are between each word. That obviously should not have one. And this, as you guys know from Microsoft Word, is the icon for a paragraph break. So this means that this is a paragraph. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow the style that's already happened, where the very first paragraph, the first word has been capped, and in this one it's been capped. So I'm going to take Joe Malone and I'm going to make sure that she is capped. So you can do that just like you did in Photoshop or in Word by hitting the TTs up at the top. You don't have to retype it. And then if I wanted a line break, we could do that, obviously, just the way you would in Microsoft Word. You guys can style it however you want. I think that might be kind of nice, so I'm going to hit another return. And I'm going to hit another return after it says she said. And I thought maybe that would help us, but I don't like this one line hanging up here. So now I'm going to juggle again, bringing it down. And you're thinking, oh boy, what are you doing? It's still not working. Sometimes moving things can help. You'd be surprised by just seeing how it kind of works with each pairing, with each alignment of each line. That's not helping me that much. So at this point, I might just actually take my picture and make it a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit smaller. So to do that, I'm going to hold the Shift and the Command key down at the same time as I move it. Actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm going to hit Shift, Option, Command, all 3 as I move one handle. And that will allow me to scale it, but going from the center point out. So I hold my center, and look what happened. It's lovely. It's perfect. So that's the way you would actually fit in some type. Now, it depends on which font you're using. This is a much different font than you might have on your computer. You want to pick a text font that is readable. This is a sans serif font, but obviously you can pick whatever you want. You do not want to pick something like, let me just do this for kicks. If I grabbed all the text and I put it on what's called a display font, like that. For one thing, look at how small, it got small in this case, but it's also impossible to read. And if I grab any other font, anything that looks really wild and fun is not going to probably be very good for your text. For instance, you know, any of these crazy old English ones, don't do that unless you really, really have a need to do it. Try to keep the text at a very simple, either a very simple serif, which is very readable, or a sans serif. Okay, let's move on. So now we just have to create a headline. We already have the type over here. And what we can do is just, let's just select the top line, Joe Malone, the profile, and maybe now this one we would pick a display text, a different, a much more interesting font that has more interesting style to it. And you can just go down the list here from the top, and what if we went to Bodoni? And maybe now you can go to Command Shift period to make it bigger. Now notice it's kind of breaking up. It's going into two lines, which you might want, you might not want. I'm just going to make my text box that was kind of random anyway larger. I'm going to pull it up to the top. Do we want it centered? If we want to, let's say we grab both of these, and it would be Command Shift C to center it. Notice it goes to the center alignment here. And then this one, it shouldn't be the same as the text. It should be maybe a different weight. So it's Gotham. I'm going to make it black. And again, I think it's way too close to the headline. So I can actually just select it and change the leading. See how I'm just going on right here, underneath the point size, I'm going to the leading and making it a larger amount of lead, which means more space, and something like that. Now, at this point, you're like, well, I'm all these blue boxes. What do I do? Remember, hit the W key, unclick everything, and that's how it actually would print.